Hi guys, this is GSM.com and I'm here with a review of the Samsung Galaxy J5 2017. So last year the J5 2016 was very appreciated and very well sold, so this phone has big shoes to fill. It was launched in June this year and it combines glass and metal with a mid-range package and quite an affordable one for that matter. It's priced at $260. It keeps the 5.2-inch screen, but it gets a selfie camera bump. It's available in black and gold. So let's discuss this interesting mid-ranger that competes with the Huawei P10 Lite and maybe the Zenfone 3 from last year. Now, as far as the design is concerned, this time we have a pretty premium build. We get an unibody metal approach with a unique design for the antenna. As you can see here, antenna at the top and antenna at the bottom, which will make you instantly recognize what handset you're dealing with. So since this is a 5.2-incher and also pretty compact one, it's very easy to use with a single hand. You can pass through all the menus, activate whichever app you want with a single tap and use the phone with a single hand with ease. We got comfy buttons, we got a premium build and a soft touch and matte back, although this is a bit heavy for the average mid-range handset. It weighs 160 grams and measures 8 mm in thickness. This is compared to the model from last year, which measured 8.1 mm and weighed a similar 159 grams. Of course, it's a bit more buff than the Huawei P9 Lite 2017. That one is a 7.6mm phone and weighs 147 grams. In the end, a bit heavy, but also reassuring and certainly well built. It does not look like a $260 phone, that's for sure. It looks like more. And some people even find it sexier than the Galaxy A5 2017. That is telling us a lot. Now, on the display front, this is a 5.2-inch screen, a Super AMOLED 720p resolution. The predecessor had the exact same recipe. Now, if you want to talk about the experience, I'm going to have to go to the gallery app and watch a video for us to actually enjoy the screen. So this is our typical test video. Here we go. The gallery provides options like this pop-up play feature. Okay, and we also have an option to create a GIF, but I'm here to talk about the screen itself. So the Super AMOLED panel is quite bright and crisp. It has very vivid colors that really pop out. It's got a deep black, an okay contrast and wide view angles, as you can see for yourself. Now, we also measure the brightness, and before the brightness we measure the pixels. So we put the screen under the microscope and found an unusual setup. These are RGB stripes pixel arrangement, but with two sub-pixels, two green sub-pixels for each red and blue pixel, an atypical arrangement. So that's the pixel, and the lux meter showed the value of 402 lux units, which is quite okay for a mid-range phone. Keep in mind the predecessor had 440 lux units, so in the same range. This value beats the Huawei P10 Lite, the Moto G5 from Motorola, but scores below the HTC One A9 and also the Galaxy A3 2017. Of course, there are settings galore for the display as usual from Samsung. Here we go. So we got a display, we got your brightness here, auto brightness, blue light filter with a slider, we got the screen modes, adaptive, AMOLED Cinema, AMOLED Photo and Basic, plus color balance with 3 RGB sliders. Then there's screen zoom and font options here as well, font style and size. There's the home screen area option with the grid, layout, apps button or not. We got the easy mode, icon frames, keep the screen turned off, screensaver, and that's about it. A pretty solid screen for the price tag. Now let's talk about the other hardware. So we're dealing with a phone that adopts the already familiar Exynos CPU. This CPU is the Samsung Exynos 7870 Octa, clocked at 1.6 GHz. There's also the Mali T830 GPU and also 2 GB of RAM on this model, LPDDR3. Storage is 16 GB, of which 10 are actually free, plus a micro SD card slot. I have to say that for a handset with 2 GB of RAM, it was very snappy. Every once in a while we did experience a bit of a slowdown, but that happened very rarely. In general, I was happy with just how snappy the phone is, how well things are working, and how fast the apps are starting up and opening. As you can see, we have a ton of them. Okay, now before we proceed even further to play some games, which by the way run fine, we close some apps, and here we go. Riptide GP Renegade, which is our typical benchmark game. I'm going to play it for you here. We also played another game, which is quite fresh. It's Into the Dead 2. Pretty graphically taxing, so if that runs, many other modern games can run easily. Although the GPU is not exactly a heavy lifter, but it can handle the heat of a game that's 1 year old. I would say the frame rate is okay, just okay. I've seen a bit better on other phones. Not bad textures. Looking good as far as the lighting is concerned. But I have to say that I've seen phones handle this game a bit better. That's coming from a trained eye. Okay, so here we go. Back to the experience. Time to talk about the benchmarks. Yes, we also did a bunch of benchmarks, starting from the less relevant quadrant to Antutu and so forth. Now let me find quadrant. Well, in quadrant, let's see just how much we scored. We beat the HTC Desire 10 Lifestyle, we beat the Huawei Honor 7, scored below the Sony Xperia XA and the Huawei P9 Lite, the OG one. This is the Antutu test, not very impressive, but it beats the Moto G5 and also beats the LG Q6, scores below the Sony Xperia XA and the Huawei P9 Lite. And we also did the benchmark related to graphics, not very impressive as well, but once again surpassing the LG Q6 and also the Xperia L1, but scoring below the Blueboo S8 and the Huawei P10 Lite. Basically it's very much like the Motorola Moto G5 in many of these tests. As you can see, we did quite a few of them. So like the Moto G5 and a bit like the Galaxy A3 2017, it certainly beats the LG Q6 and in general it's scored below the Huawei P Lite models. If you're wondering about the temperature, we also measured that, achieving 34.2 degrees Celsius after running Riptide GP Renegade, so no overheating, and after running GFX Bench, a very cool 29.8 degrees Celsius, so certainly no overheating here. Now on the battery front, 3000 mAh, while the predecessor had a 3100 mAh battery, but don't worry, the results are still good. On paper were promised 19 hours of video playback, 83 hours of audio playback, and let's see just how much time we achieve. Bear with me, I'm going to start looking for the achievements. So we achieved 12 hours 57 minutes of continuous HD video playback, which is fantastic. You can basically watch easily a Netflix show in its entirety. This beats the Google Pixel XL, beats the iPhone 7, but scores below the Huawei P10 and the Xiaomi Redmi 4. Another very good result is the one in PC Mark, which is the continuous usage. 11 hours 8 minutes is the 14th placed phone, and it surpasses the Galaxy S8, which is a big feature, and the Huawei Mate 9, but scores below the Galaxy A3 2017, which is crazy good, and also the Motorola Moto Z Play. If you're wondering about the charging, it takes 2 hours 11 minutes to get it to full level, and it's superior to the Huawei Mate 8 and the Galaxy A7 2016, for example. Now if you want to do charging in small steps, you can get to 4% in 5 minutes, you can get to 13% in 15 minutes, 27% in 30 minutes, and after 1 hour you're at 54%. Of course, you also get special settings for the battery. You go here, maintenance, battery, there's your power saving modes off, mid and max. They're also tweakable, as you can see. You can customize stuff related to brightness, speed limiter, network, and max uses less apps and also black background. And you can also press one button to optimize now, and you can save power by monitoring apps. In the end, a fantastic battery. If I were to give it a grade, it would be a 10 out of 10 for the battery. Time to talk about the acoustics and the originally placed speaker, which is here on the side at the top. If I remember correctly, the predecessor also had a similar approach. So as usual, we rely on Google Play Music wherever it may be. Here it is, and it actually comes with the typical Samsung equalizers, which I'm very happy about because there's a ton of them. So you go here, you got sound quality and effects, you got your equalizer with custom options related to genres, these knobs for bass and treble, instrument and vocal, 7 custom channels to play with, UHQ upscaler, surround, tube amp pro, concert hall, adapt sound, and that's about it. So very happy with the options. Now let's listen to some tunes and let the speaker go crazy. So that's one pretty strong acoustics, and the good news is that you'll never cover that area. When you hold the phone like this, it's basically impossible to cover it unless you're doing that, but nobody does that often. Okay, so pretty solid experience. The headphones are rather typical, the kind of which you find in any electronic store. Not very comfy, rather rigid, okay volume, not much bass. And we also have FM radio right here. Let's go to the gallery because I have to show you some decibel results. So 83.5 decibels is the result achieved with a typical test audio sample. This one is superior to the Galaxy J5 2016 by a bit. It also beats the HTC Ultra and the Huawei P10 Plus, scores below the Moto G5 Plus and the Motorola Moto Z2 Play. Now the other test is more impressive. When we ran the game Riptide GP Renegade, we achieved 97.8 decibels, which is a great result. It's superior to the Samsung Galaxy S8, but scored below the Note 8, so that says it all. Have a good speaker here. Maybe in the future we get stereo speakers, maybe. Now on the camera front we have a pretty familiar story. 13 megapixel shooter at the back, LED flash, f1.7 aperture, which is quite good. And at the front, 13 megapixel shooter with its own LED flash. This is quite the bump. If I remember correctly, the predecessor had a 5 megapixel camera, and the f1.9 aperture is surely a good thing. Now, the camera UI is exactly like you've seen on the previously tested Samsung phones, Galaxy A5 and so forth. Here we go, these are the options: auto, pro, panorama, HDR, continuous shot, night and more, plus some gimmicks here like effects. We got some cute stickers, and that's about it. I'm not going to get into them, they're rather typical, but I am going to get into the gallery because we have almost 200 shots and they look great. We have excellent clarity and a pretty nice sky. Very realistic sky. Some phones are not able to calibrate the sky correctly. Luckily, this one is. So we have a solid blue hue. Some landscape shots here and there. Very nice blues. The selfies, well, they're not exactly the best selfies in the world, at least not the first ones, but as I kept taking them and finding the proper lighting, I got more happy about the texture of the face. Now, here we tested the zoom, and check out the power of zoom on this baby. I was actually very impressed by the level of details when we zoomed in on both the PC and in real life. Of course, some excellent close-ups. Nowadays it's easy to get excellent close-ups because even mid-range phones are good at this. So pretty well calibrated colors, nice clarity in both landscape and close-ups. Speaking of close-ups, pretty solid ones of roses as we usually do. Some more shots here. This is also an impressive one because it blurs the background and highlights the flower. Excellent colors, color calibration, exposure, focus, whatever you want. And now we have selfie tryouts part 2, where I was actually a bit more impressed. The backgrounds aren't much, but the face texture, skin texture and the hair are quite okay for a mid-range handset. It does not feel like the 30 megapixel camera of the Xperia XZ1, but for a Galaxy J it's okay. Now the best example of HDR is this photo. Regular photo and HDR photo, that's an improvement, although it may feel like a bit too much light. And let's end it with some colors, excellent colors, details, and I was very happy by concerning this aspect. So a pretty good camera, a bump from the predecessor for sure, and selfies are acceptable. Now, if you're not convinced by the samples you're seeing in the review, we'll have a full gallery for you. I have to say I'm pretty blown away. If you want a comparison, I put it on par with the Galaxy A5 2016, even the Asus Zenfone 3, which is not bad. Loving the HDR. I would say okay selfies, but speaking of selfies, we have a special selfie focus option, which is not exactly very impressive. The blur in the background feels a bit forced. Anyways, everything is crisp, that's for sure. You can easily fight the Huawei P10 Lite and the P9 Lite 2017. Those are daytime shots. Let's go to the nighttime. Of course, nighttime is a more vulnerable position for the phone. However, excellent flash, by the way. It does not drown the image, it's very bright, and the colors are okay calibrated. We have a pretty okay texture of objects. Of course, the zoom does not work as good during the nighttime as during the day. Street light halos are a bit big, and every once in a while we did record a blurred capture or two. I would say the level of yellow is reasonable for a mid-range phone. Things are a bit darker than usual. When I say usual, I'm talking about the big shot mid-rangers, like maybe the Galaxy A5 2017 is clearly below that. also below the Galaxy A5 2016, but it beats the predecessor for sure. Not very far from the Huawei P10 Lite though, and I would put it on par with the Huawei P9 Lite 2016. Now, that was the photo aspect. Let's go to the videos. We shot things in MP4, Full HD, 30 frames per second and a 17 megapixel bitrate. One of the things I noticed is that the microphone is very solid. It perfectly catched, or better said caught, the music I was listening to on the headphones. Bit shaky every once in a while. A pretty okay exposure change, and if you want to do zoom, not bad, actually not bad at all. Some refocusing here and there. And let's see another video, perhaps a more colorful one. Here we go, we got this one here. Good texture, good colors, some shakiness, some refocusing, and the details in the distance are not very clear compared to those that are closer. Nice exposure change. Although I praise the colors, I feel that they could be just slightly, only slightly better. And let's see what else we have here. We also did a stabilization test. We walked around and filmed. Of course, the phone does not have optical image stabilization and it does not have a special electronic stabilization, so we expected it to not deliver very much, and it didn't. In the end, it felt superior to the Huawei P9 Lite from last year, which kind of burned the videos. I would put it on par with the P10 Lite. It's certainly above the J5 2016, which burned a lot of videos, and I'm liking the zoom a lot. Still below the Galaxy A5 2017. Now, so far so good, but during the night time things get a bit more abrupt. Here we go. They are dark, they are yellow, clarity remains okay, but we have big halos, motion blur when moving around, some refocus, some poor zoom, so in the end not the best phone to capture maybe concerts or things like that, unless they're very well lit. I would put it on par again with the P9 Lite from last year from Huawei. Okay, we are done with the camera. Then talk about other things, like for example the web browser. I'm going to resort to Samsung Internet because I actually love it. It's quite snappy. And let's load up our website, gsndon.com. Here we go. Not that snappy in front of the camera, it seems. I'm also liking one of the other aspects, like the extensions, which are quite useful. Here it is, the site has loaded finally, smooth scrolling, and the virtual keyboard has a numeric row. Benchmarks were actually kind of poor. We did them for Chrome on the device and they were not impressive. These are the extensions, close by, content blockers, QR code reader and video assistant, and that's about it. Then talk about the connectivity. On the connectivity front, we start off with the port here. It's a micro USB 2.0, there's no USB Type-C. We got the audio jack, the phone comes in a single SIM or this dual SIM version. Nano SIM card slots, of course, 4G LTE, category 6, ANT+, GPS, GLONASS, Beidou, NFC, Wi-Fi Direct, Bluetooth 4.1. That's a mouthful, so a lot of options. We got Wi-Fi A, B, G, and AC. And we also have a dialer that includes speed dial, and the calls have loud and clear volume and quality. Now we also did the speed test, and let's see what happened there. We tested the 4G and Wi-Fi abilities of the phone, scoring an impressive 222 megapixel download on Wi-Fi, 25 megapixel upload, and on 4G 116/48, impressive again. Now on the software front, we're running here on Android 7.0 Nougat with Samsung Experience 8.1 on top, basically what you saw on the latest Galaxy A models and Galaxy S8 if I'm not mistaken. Now, there's briefing here on the left side, basically Flipboard in a new version. You can swipe up for the app drawer, but you can also pick and choose from the settings to have a special shortcut here. Let's see what else. Keep the home screen pressed and you can tweak wallpapers, widgets and home screen settings. Widgets minimalistic and white and transparent. Pretty basic for a year now, this approach. The drop down section includes notifications, quite a few of them, and quick settings, very clean and well organized. And then we get to the settings, which has typical stuff like connections, sounds, notifications, wallpapers and themes, advanced features. You got your gaming features here, game tools, game launcher. There's a one-hand mode, quick launch the camera, multi-window, easy mute, SOS and so forth. Multitasking is done via carousel, and of course you can split the screen and use two apps at the same time easily. You can maybe, I don't know, watch a video and keep web browsing at the same time. Okay, so that's about it. If you want to talk about the security, I have to say that the fingerprint scanner was reasonably fast, and we usually show it to you, so let's keep to this tradition. Fingerprint scanner, continue, pin. What annoyed me was the fact that the setup process is quite lengthy, and as you can see it's already taking a while. 20 steps or even more. Some phones have 12 steps. I'm guessing that some of them even have something like 9 steps. This one goes past 20. Here we go, at last. At least it's quite snappy and quite accurate when unlocking the device. Not that fast, but it's mid-range good for the fast. Okay, and now when it comes to the pre-installed apps, I counted them, there's 38 of them. I would say it's rather okay. We have the Microsoft package, Excel, OneDrive, PowerPoint, Skype and Word. We got the Samsung package, got their own store, Galaxy apps, Samsung Gear, Maya files. There's the Samsung Health, shows the steps you've taken, other things you monitored, and the water intake, calories and so forth. Typical package. You got Samsung members, maps, there's the gallery, and there's the very useful and very high spec, so to say, Samsung Notes with a ton of options. We even have brushes, quite a few of them. We even have pens. You can draw around, scribble, add an image, add a voice, save, and even mess with the fonts and alignment, so that's nice. Okay, so that's about it. This has been the end of the review for the Samsung Galaxy J5 2017. It's time for the pros and cons. On the pro side, the price, the great build, the comfy phone, the pretty okay display, not bad performance, great battery, actually fantastic battery, loud volume, solid details in pictures, nice connectivity, and a pretty okay UI. Okay, now those are the pros. On the con side, I would say it's a bit heavy. The GPU is not exactly future-proof. The headphones, not impressive. The selfie focus is a gimmick. The videos were a bit shaky, and there was some refocusing here and there. As you can see, not many cons and no deal breakers. This is the phone that will probably sell a ton this year if it hasn't already. It's a best buy. It's top 20 in our battery tests. That's got to say something. It's got a pretty okay camera, actually more than okay in details especially. Not bad selfies, and I would have to say that my only personal drawback has got to be the GPU, but I'm a gamer. If you're not a gamer, there's zero drawbacks here, and that's impressive. If I were to grade this phone, it would surely be a 9 out of 10 or maybe more. This has been the review for the Galaxy J5 2017 from gsndom.com. Bye bye.